then I had all of this influx of clients. I had brands reaching out to me to do content creation. And at that point, we were doing Instagram takeovers all the time. You
I
remember
love
that? I
yes.
was having brands reach out to me to do photo shoots, do like PR work and introducing products to the media because again, there were non-toxic products, but they had traditional stylists to represent them that maybe didn't align with the values. And so
Yeah.
it just became so much.
Welcome to the Green Beauty Community Podcast, where we're making sustainable beauty the new standard. I'm your hostess, Jacquelyn Rodriguez, and in each episode, we dive deep into the world of eco-friendly beauty, sharing insights and tips and inspiring stories from industry leaders and innovators. Whether you're a beauty professional or enthusiast, join us as we explore how to make the beauty industry kinder to our planet without compromising on quality or style. Let's create a more beautiful world inside and out. Welcome back to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacquelyn Rodriguez, and today I have Diana Osborne, and we have been following each other. We've met, and it's been like a little over a year, I think, and I'm really excited to talk to you and dive really deep into all the things that you've been doing and how you got to that place. So this is going to be such a juicy episode. I cannot wait to chat. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I feel like the last year has been such a whirlwind. So much has changed. So now I'm ready to share things with the world.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait to hear what has changed. So you've been in the industry for how long?
So I've been in the industry for about 18 years, licensed for 16. And then I've been specializing in more holistic hair care for about the last decade.
Girl, me too. I love it. Isn't it
Yeah,
such an amazing last decade and crazy decade?
incredible. Like, I feel like if I had not changed, I would have gotten out of the industry, to be honest with you. It has brought back all of my inspiration. It has brought back a deeper sense of purpose, and it has brought me the best community that I could ever ask for. Yeah.
Ditto. Really, really feel the exact same way. I was right on the cusp of wanting to get out as well. It was, I go
So
do something
interesting.
else or something's got to give.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
And we're
is
here to tell
wild.
the tale.
Exactly. And right now, where are you at?
Yeah. So physically or in my business.
Let's go physically first and then we'll go business.
So I am a Toronto, Canada based entrepreneur. So I am up north and primarily I primarily teach now. I launched my digital course in the summer. I also have an online store where I sell non-toxic hair care products. And then I run the rest of the business and work just a private studio, taking clients one day a week, doing hair still because I love it.
I love that. Okay. So you're busy.
Yeah.
You have lots of things going on.
Busy. Yes.
Oh,
There's a lot of other like mini things that I actually am letting go of for the new year, which I'm really excited about. So I do also travel to teach in the US and I have in Europe as well. But for now, I'm just like really digging into kind of more the virtual side of it so that it's more accessible for people.
yeah. Yeah. And a little less. I mean, I love the travel part. And then it is also like nice to not have to go somewhere all the time, right? So having
Yes,
that balance.
100%. I suppose.
So let's dive into your journey a little bit. Like your
Mhm.
journey, since you've been in it for a while, you've gone from that traditional salon to creating this holistic experience. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about like the one moment, like when you were ready to get out and it was either
Yeah.
I do this or we're out. Tell me all about that.
Yeah. So I think as some context, I was like kind of predisposed to this because my mom, I call her with love a hippie. We ate organic. We went to the recycling depots when you had to like put all your stuff in a car and drive it to like this one specific place. So I was raised around that in grade 6. I was the leadership of the environmental club. Feel like it should like be on my resume.
I love
And
it.
so, yeah, very into that love of animals, all of these things. But of course, in high school, I was a teenager. I did cosmetology, got into hair, and there were no options that were, cruelty free or non toxic. I lived in a small town in Alberta, which is in Western Canada. And so I was a teenager. I was like, I don't really care. Like, whatever, I'm invincible and I'm just going to, do the thing that I love doing, which was hair and pampering people. And then I moved across to a different province and kind of bounced around from some salons. And at a certain point, I had the chance to move anywhere and basically choose a business that I wanted to work with. And I found a place that did a more holistic, they didn't call it holistic, but it was a more holistic salon concept, non-toxic. Worked there for a few years. And then the salon owner ended up deciding that she didn't want to have the business anymore. So I was pushed back into the traditional industry. And that's when I got really, really sick. I had reactive lymph nodes. So I had like a little scar on my neck. I had surgery for it, which, of course, I think my detox pathways were just overloaded from at that point about 8 to 10 years of being in the traditional hair industry. And so I went through multiple surgeries on my neck. And then the post op complications from that, I had a breathing crisis. I had 3 asthma attacks in 24 hours. I had to call 911. It was the scariest moment of my life. My throat was closing. And it took me, months and months to recover from that. And as I was a commissioned stylist. So I had to take time off work. I wasn't getting paid. And I was like, holy cow, like I don't know if I can do this, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was on steroids to heal my lungs. And I went back to work in the salon and there was ammonia, and there were aerosols, and there were perfumes. And I had to use my inhaler every single day. And I was like, I can't do this. So I actually started looking at other careers. I was like, I could be an executive assistant. Like I like organization and like kind of being like a support person, logistics, stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go to school. I ideally I would love to, stay in hair, but just do it in a way that didn't cause me to have all of these health issues. And so that was when I made the switch. I had from my previous experience, I understood some of the lines and I knew the demand that there was for that kind of work. And so I opened my own business in 2017. It was a shared space initially because I was nervous with my health. I was still recovering. I didn't want to like sign a 5 to 10 year lease. And honestly, after that, like things just exploded in the best way.
Wow. See, and you
Yeah.
hear about stories like this, and I've met so many stylists that it's the health crisis. Like you can't
Yeah.
live like that. And then there's other stylists who have gone 40, 50, 60 years in the industry with no problems, right? Just
Yep.
like everything else in the environment is
Yeah.
what are we predisposed to and what's going on in our own bodies and what's happening there.
100%.
And
Yeah.
that's where you get to like really start to take a look. So
Yeah.
not everybody is going to have that type of experience, but there's a
No.
lot more that will, and we don't know until we've been in it for a while, which is
Right.
absolutely mind blowing to me.
I know. And I think like there are some people that have incredible detox systems and their body can just handle so
Yeah.
many things. And that's amazing if that's you. But if it's not you, those are the people that I want to make sure they just know there's another option. They don't have to be sick. They don't have to stay in an industry if they, are really struggling. There is another option if you want it, you
Yeah.
know? And I also
Um,
will say that I don't think people realize the smaller health issues that stem from toxin exposure in the salon. Like people think like huge health crises, but it's not. It's the migraine, it's the asthma, it's the anxiety, it's like the hormonal stuff. So I think a lot more people are impacted than even know.
so true. Because when I didn't have like a huge health crisis, I was doing it because I wanted to, I was changing my personal life, and I noticed a
Yeah.
difference on how I felt when I went into the salon. And I started to put two and
Wow.
two together where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so if I have some time off from the salon, I don't have those slight migraines. I don't have that raspy, like, just feel like I can't quite
Yeah.
swallow right. Like, it just, I felt
Yeah.
off. I didn't notice it until I was out of the salon a little bit. And then when I was back in, I started putting these two and two together because I had detoxed my home,
Wow.
but not my salon.
Right.
Right. Well, I didn't have a choice at that time because I was working for somebody else, but I started to
Right.
notice things, right? And how many stylists, salon owners are going day to day with these things that they feel like are just, it's just me.
Yeah.
This hurts, that hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how many times do we go around and we're like, oh, yeah, my wrist doesn't hardly work anymore?
Exactly.
Tunnel, all these things. But I think so much more than we know is tied back to the exposure that we're at and the higher risk
Yeah.
that we're at. Um,
Yeah.
and it is kind of looking underneath of that and starting to take note of what your body's doing.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
think we take enough time to do that. I had on the Impactful Salon Owner podcast, I had Dr. Husney on, and she is a MD as well as a holistic doctor because she saw what the medical industry was
Yeah.
doing and decided to go down the holistic path. So she has both knowledge,
Wow.
viewpoints, right? And that's exactly what we talked about. So if you haven't listened to the podcast, so you got to go back to the Impactful Salon Owners and listen to Dr. Husney because she broke down a lot of what we should be looking for and how that toxicity kind of builds up in our system.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we just have to look at it. So you had this huge health crisis and you made this leap. I mean, that had to have been a leap of faith to not feel great, not sure if you could, push through, but you knew you had to do something. So what were some of the
Yeah.
challenges that you were running across when you started to make these changes?
Yeah. I think that the biggest one was probably other people's mindsets, to be honest with you, because a lot of people will project their own thing onto you, right? And so people are like, well, it's risky to have your own business and like, you know, it might be ahead of its time. Like, I don't know if the industry's ready for that or if you'll have enough clients and all those things. And it's funny because to me, it felt riskier to keep doing what I was doing, you know? Like it's all perspective. It was so much more riskier for me to stay in the job that was making me sick and unhappy. And frankly, I could see like I was less inspired by my career. I was kind of just like I was in my mid-20s and I was like I just want to like have a family and become a stay-at-home mom, which now seems crazy to me. But that's what happens when you're
Yeah.
like, I don't really care about my career. And so I think that was the main thing was just the fear that they would be right, that maybe I was making a mistake, that maybe I couldn't do it as a
Mm.
business. But there was no other option. So I was kind of like, I'm going to try and do this. And if it doesn't work out, then I'm just going to find another career anyways. So I might as well try. Really, after that, like I share this with everyone that I can. I was profitable in my business in week 3. And I think that there's a
Wow.
lot of people that talk about like, it takes 3 to 5 years, and it's different depending on the size that you're starting with and all those things. If you have to do a renovation, I was sharing space. I really didn't have a lot of startup costs. And so, but to be even like break even, but much less profitable in my first month of business, at that moment, I was like, oh my God, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. I'm on to something.
Yeah. And then really it became my next biggest challenge was that I had so many clients that I didn't have enough time to do because word spread. I mean, this was like in the good old days of social media. So Instagram, like you got so many, likes and comments and engagement. I had people referring their friends to me. Because also I think I was offering not just non-toxic or less toxic things, but I really was taking the time to understand the client, doing an in-depth consultation, like really listening and acknowledging people. And so I hired an assistant and was still working in the shared space. And so was still having some health issues because even though I wasn't working with traditional products, the rest of the employees at the salon were. And so I just remember there was a stylist that would do a keratin straightening service on like one of her clients every 3 months. And I would have chest pain for 5 hours. And I would go home and I was working with an incredible naturopathic doctor, and he was the one that really taught me so much about environmental medicine and detoxing. And I would chug like rooibos tea. Once you eat or drink about 5 cups of really concentrated rooibos tea, then it really starts to move everything. And it literally, like, it works. As soon as I finished my 5th cup of rooibos tea, I would start to feel better.
Wait,
Yeah,
say that again. Rubis? What's the
rooibos. It's
rooibos?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Rooibos.
Okay. I
It has
couldn't
tons of antioxidants in it.
love it. Okay. So
Yeah,
we have that tea. I love tea. I'm sipping on
yeah.
some herbal tea now.
Perfect. Yeah, rooibos tea is amazing. I also had a blueberry concentrate extract that I would take if I really had been exposed to a lot of toxins. And so at that point, I started looking for my own space because I was like, you know what? I need a dedicated space. I need to be able to grow my team, to be able to supply the demand of all of these clients. And I really wanted to show the industry what was possible. I think it still happens to this day, although it's starting to change. But at that point, when I would tell other stylists or, went to a party and meeting people that I didn't know and said, I'm a hairstylist that works with less toxic products, they were kind of like, oh, so you work in your basement? Like, oh, so you do like health food store color? And I was like, no, it's actually a really high-end experience. And so I wanted to build my own. And so, yeah, the fall of 2019, I opened Hair Holistic, the salon, my own dedicated space. And then I had full control over like the sustainability, the inclusivity, like,
Yes.
and yeah, everything.
That's so amazing and so freeing when you're able to have that, because I had the same
Yeah.
experience with those keratins. Like I felt horrible afterwards. And I
Yeah.
was in a top salon at that time where we had to learn them. We didn't have a choice and we had to do them. Which was just terrible. So
Crazy.
those are definitely a no-go in our salon now. I
No,
can't believe
and
it's still around, but
it's crazy because if you look at the statement from the FDA, it literally says, don't use these. Like, these are really bad for your health, but we're not going to ban them.
yeah.
That's
What
crazy.
Yeah, which could be a whole podcast in itself of what the FDA
Yes.
allows and doesn't allow and the regulations, which
Yeah.
also on the Impactful Salon Owners podcast, not to like bring that up again. And we
No,
broke
please do.
down like the Cleaner Beauty Bill package. So when we're looking
Oh
at
my
those
gosh.
things and the safety and what is our regulations, it's also very, very, very important for us to speak up and start to
Yeah.
get behind the bills that will change that regulation,
Yeah.
how things are
Absolutely.
allowed and not allowed. So that is just a really important thing to know because we do have a lot more power than we think.
Yeah.
So that little side note there, but very important
Absolutely.
in the moment. You mentioned saving 30,000 in your first year after starting your Hair Holistic.
Mhm.
So I want to know, what were the key decisions or strategies that led you to such rapid success?
Yeah. So I think really first of all, there were reasons that I wasn't earning a lot of money, right? So I had moved across the country. I had bounced around from a few different salons. And so that never really helps for consistent,
Yeah.
sustainable income. I was also not feeling as inspired behind the chair. So I was just kind of going in and doing my work and leaving. And the salon that I was working at just was not, they weren't continuing to grow, I feel like. And that's no shade. There's a lot of salons that, maintain things for 30 plus years. But I noticed that in the switch from being at the first salon where I was an employee, where I was kind of introduced to stuff, I pulled all of that clientele into the new salon that I was working at, the traditional one. And I started to lose people because I think people initially they want to see your new space, they're hoping to stay with you. And then it felt more like just a standard salon. And so I actually saw my paycheck getting lower and lower and lower each month before I got sick. And so then I got sick, um, started my business, and I don't know that there were a lot of strategies. And I think there's a mindset where, like, to bring in a lot of money, it has to be really hard and really challenging, and you're
Yeah.
fighting against all this stuff. And for me, I mean, I feel very lucky. It was a different time, 2017 also, but
Yeah.
it was just that I was attracting clients that were aligned to who I was and what I want to do. And then I was so excited to be offering services that felt so good to me, because once you see the information, you can't unsee it. So, not even for myself, but now I'm putting toxins on my clients who I care about. And
Yeah.
so that starts to feel like a little bit icky too, right? And so I think for me, it was when I had control of my own career. And so it was limitless. I could do whatever I want. I didn't need to like ask if I could go to a class or do different things. And the other was just that there were so many people that wanted the service I was offering. And so I just got out there. I was on podcasts. I did like so many things because I was so excited for the work that I was doing. And I saved $30,000 to start my own salon in, yeah, my first year of business. And
That
I stayed the same in my lifestyle. I had a tiny studio apartment. I took the subway to work. Like
mm.
as I earned more money, I wasn't just putting it away because I knew that my health would only last so long in that space.
So you were very,
Yeah.
even though you didn't have a specific maybe strategy, you were very focused on what was important to you
Yeah.
and what you were not going to tolerate anymore, it sounds like, which is
100%.
so big. And we don't realize, like, just like that whole health thing, you don't know how you're feeling until
Yeah.
something happens. You also don't know how much you're actually tolerating in life.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's behind the chair with your boss, your business, or just
Yeah.
friends, family, relationship, day to day. We don't
Yeah.
we don't slow down enough to actually take a look and say, "Hey, I don't feel great. Hey, this isn't cool. I don't really
Yeah.
like this situation." So, even though you
Right.
didn't have a very specific strategy, it's you opened up the possibilities,
Yeah.
and also just saying, "Hey, like I don't want to do this anymore." That is a
Yeah.
conscious choice, and
Yeah.
things start to come together once you've made up just a decision to do it.
It's so true.
It's really
Yeah.
powerful, and we don't think about it that deep, right? We think things
No.
are,
Yeah.
that's a coincidence. No, you
Yeah.
made a choice
Yeah.
and things will line up. And then you make another choice to continue to follow that path and to watch
Yeah.
the opportunities come in and take it or not take it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what's interesting, there's similarities between when I've up leveled in my life, and it always starts with me saying no. The more I say no, I know that I'm about to like get to the next level. And I think that for me was like saying no, I don't want to be a part of the toxic side of the industry. I don't want my health to be impacted. I don't want my clients' health to be impacted. And that is when life opens up to you, you know?
I love it. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
learning how to slow down enough to be able to hear that. So anyone listening, like, this is
Yes.
slowing down and listening to those times when you're in the shower and you're not thinking about other things. Like, ask yourself just one question, like, am I happy? Am I happy with my
Yeah.
business? Am I happy in my salon? I want to go with cleaner ingredients? Am I looking to really up my game in sustainability? Like, just ask yourself
Yeah.
those little questions while you're doing things that just seem kind of mundane, and just listen.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to start if you're not already into your own intuition, right? Because it does take
Mm.
practice. But
Yeah.
it's such a big piece, and we think we overlook it because we think it's a simple piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the, commitment to cleaner and sustainability in your salon now, right? You
Mhm.
moved, you have this new location. Tell me a little bit about what that looked like for your clients. Like, how were you attracting the right clients, and what kind of things were you talking to them about, or walking them through?
Yeah. So I think one of the best strategies, especially right now, is having a purpose-driven business because there's a million salons, you know? And so how do you set yourself apart? And that's really what I tried to lean into because that's how you build, I mean, the community that you want and also the loyalty that you want. So before I had opened the salon, but of course, we expanded everything. I had gender neutral haircut prices. And so there's so many things that pull people in, but just doing things differently, right? And so the experience of someone walking in, if there was a woman with short hair, I have a client who we shave the sides and the back, and she has this beautiful textured top. She was paying the same price as the man that comes in and gets the clipper cut. And so that's part of the experience to me. If we have someone who's coming in who's trans or non-binary, they're not scared to, what kind of service are they going to get? And from the stylist side, you get the exact time that you need for the client. So it's not like a women's cut and then someone comes in with really long hair and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time, or vice versa. You have a women's cut and then they come in with the clippered sides and back and you're done early and then you could have taken someone else.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a major part of it. I just posted today and I like, this is the hill I will die on, is that sustainability can provide a higher end experience for your clients as well. So I thrifted as much as I could on, building out the salon space. It meant that we had glass mugs for coffee. It meant that we had a manual pump espresso machines, which is zero waste coffee. The grounds go in the compost, which again is great for the client. And there were so many touches like that that again are going to elevate how the client experiences, hand towels in the washroom instead of paper towel. And so we laundered them and things like that, that I personally love. I'm a very like sensory person. And so I like, always going to choose the ceramic mug over the plastic cup. Um, but there were all these kind of small things that really, again, just attracted so many clients to come in. And then they had this beautiful experience. The place was filled with plants. And so like I wanted it to be very, very clean, very like, I hate this term, but Instagrammable because it matters, right? And so we had clients that would take their own content. It was easy for us to take content as well. And we had a service menu that was very expanded. We had scalp facials. We had more in-depth consultations. We ended up adding on, a curl experience where if someone has curly hair that really wants in-depth education, then they can come in for a longer period of time with the stylist and really get into it, because we also charge the same for straight or curly hair if they
Yeah.
just were, getting a regular haircut. So for me, it's hard to have short conversations because to me, holistic is inclusivity, sustainability, and health, right? And
Yeah.
so I just wanted a space that was like, it was like my heart and soul put into a physical location. Everything mattered, you know?
That you're speaking my language. Like, that's literally how I built my business as well, right? Everything
Amazing.
mattered
Yeah.
because it matters not only to us, right? And it doesn't have to mean expensive, but
No.
luxurious. Because I get questioned a lot of like, well, I want a very luxurious brand.
Yeah.
Okay, you can have a
Yeah.
clean and sustainable brand that is also extremely luxurious. I think a lot of people
Absolutely.
high luxurious to the higher end brands that, aren't
Yeah.
necessarily clean. But then when they think of clean or sustainable, they think crunchy granola, hippie.
Yeah.
And there's a certain look that ties to that, which has
Yeah.
zero to do with what is actually possible.
Yep.
So it's such a beautiful thing to hear your story and how you've tied that all together. And I do wish we had like a whole nother hour. We talked about that before we hopped on. Like I could talk
I
to you
know.
hours. And I do want to be mindful of time and start bringing it back together. So let's like, you've been in it, you've gone the ups and downs, you've had the health crisis, you've built this beautiful business. What would you say to someone who's maybe like right maybe where you were on any of those levels? Like what
Mhm.
should they do? What's their next step? Or what's your best piece of advice? Very open and
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think the best piece of advice that I could give is find someone that is doing what you want to do. Because this is what I've been thinking about this so much recently in anything that is happening. Like, for instance, we're being kept so busy, right? Everyone's so busy. We don't have an awareness about our body or how we're feeling. And I think what people don't realize is that's intentional in a lot of ways. Who benefits from you being distracted? So you'll keep, over consuming. So you will keep um, being exposed to toxic products. So you will keep drinking out of plastic or, and consuming over and over again instead of reusing. And that's not to say that everything has, an underlying cause, but I think a lot of times we're kept distracted, we're kept overstimulated. And so you break that by finding the people who are doing what you're doing and proving that it works. And there's so much information on the internet, and there's like, we have so much access to people. And so I think that's my best advice is to find the people doing what you want to do because they'll
yeah,
prove it to you.
exactly. So then it's not a guessing game anymore. Like, can I do this or can I not?
No.
Is it you're looking for
Yeah,
evidence that if it worked for somebody, it's
exactly.
for you.
Exactly. And don't listen to other people that are not doing what you're doing or are not your target demographic. That is a continued thing that I made the mistake of. I'm like, this PDF, can you tell me about it? And then like tell me how it is. And then someone will read it and give me like weird feedback. And I'm like, wait, but this isn't meant for you. Why did I ask your opinion? Like I love you dearly so much. But like, it's important that we listen to the people that we actually aspire to be or want to work with.
That is such a key thing. I had to learn the hard way because you got your family and you have the people who love you around you and you want to like
Yes.
ask their opinion. But
Yeah.
you said something, I think, at the beginning of the episode of like other people's mentality, their
Yeah.
mindset, their preconceived notions, their fears, their worries, all of that starts to come and creep in to their advice back
Yeah.
to you or to their comments and things like that. And it's so important to remember there gets to be
Yeah.
that like that line of thank you, I know that you're worried or you have this opinion like this doesn't
Yeah.
sound right to you. Again, you're not my target market and you're not where I want to
Yeah.
be. I was in the Aspire tour room a few days ago, right? So I don't know,
Yeah.
but this is airing, it might be a month ago. I don't know. I was in the Aspire tour room and Andrew, I can't remember his last name. I'll tag it down, but he was
Mm.
saying about wealth, right? When you're in and you're trying to build your profits and your wealth and you're, talking to your CPAs and you're talking to your lawyers and all of that,
Yeah.
the caliber of people you are around will tell you how far you're going to go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And if you have those higher up people that you're looking at for advice to guide you to guide your business,
Yeah.
but they are at their glass ceiling,
Yeah.
you can only go as far as they're going to go. So it's important to pick the
Absolutely.
people around you who already are embodying, living truthfully. Because again, you said social, we're on social, we can't always believe what we see. So it's time to dive in and really learn who that person is. Are they genuine? Are they being authentic? And then make that decision, right? But who are you aspiring to be? And not trying to be them, but looking at that's the kind of energy you want to be around, because just being in energy will completely change your mindset of what is possible.
Completely.
It's phenomenal. Just like, I mean, this is why I love the podcast, right? Being in the energies of people who are doing amazing things. I get inspired
100%.
and like so excited. And then I'm like, oh, I have 50 new ideas. Let's go. And then I'm like, I'm only one human. Let's bring it down a notch.
Hold on.
Pump the brakes. We got to bring it back, but it does make a difference. So best piece of advice. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing. Can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is on Instagram. I am at Holistic Hair Expert, or if you search Diana Osborne, then you will find me. And then I have links in my bio for some free resources for stylists that are interested, as well as my course. And then tags with my online shop. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. And as always, everything's in the show notes. So make sure you go over the show notes, directly get linked to Diana. And thank you for being here. Loved our conversation. We will definitely keep in touch. This time it can't go a year.
Yeah, I know.
We'll keep more in touch. And thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. We're on a mission to make sustainable beauty the new standard, and we need your help to make it. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and share with your friends. Every listener helps spread our mission of sustainable beauty. Want to do more? Visit greenbeautycommunity.com to join our community, volunteer your skills, or to make a donation. Your support in any form helps us create a more beautiful and sustainable future for the beauty industry. And remember, together we can transform beauty for ourselves and for our planet. Until next time, stay green and stay gorgeous. This podcast was brought to you by a generous grant by InnerSense Organic Beauty.